Get up, get focused, get into your passion, because we moyo everywhere we go. And we've been talking about the space between stimulus and response. When we're hit with a stressor or a stimulus of some type, what's our response? Do we respond quickly, without thinking, without gaining perspective? Or do we create a space between stimulus and response where we can understand better how to respond and how important it is to acknowledge that that space can exist if we create it, and to understand the power that creating that space for our response gives us. See, I think in our society today, we've created the thought that response doesn't really matter, that we can just respond in any way we want to that gives us an advantage, even if it tears down other people. And then when it serves us to completely change what our response was, then that's fine too. And that's never more evident than in these election times. And we've spent months now watching political ads, and we watch a campaign where a bunch of different candidates from the same party just bash each other, just respond horribly to each other, tearing each other down. And then, when one candidate's decided upon, that person goes out and picks one of the people that they were bashing as their running mate, and then has nothing but incredible, beautiful stuff to say about them. And it doesn't matter which party it is. It all happens every time. So we let our response be, what's the best for us? If it's better for us right now to tear someone down, to give us an advantage, then that's what we do. But if it's better to build someone up to also give us an advantage, then that's what we do. But we have to understand how important our response is, and we have to be true and consistent with our response, or the end result is our response means nothing. Our integrity means nothing. No one will believe us. So our response, our integrity is critical. And we've been talking about this, and let me give you some practical advice on how to utilize this space and create this space. First of all, I said you have to acknowledge the space exists, and in doing so, create the space. And then second, understand the power that's there. So let's look at it this way. Let's say someone comes to me and says something to me that is a bit inflammatory. It may create an emotion in me of anxiety or fear or anger. The first thing I have to do is understand that anytime I'm hit with a stimulus or a stressor, I have to understand that I've been hit with a stimulus or a stressor. So when I learn in my own self to feel those emotions, someone says something to me and I sense anger in my body, I sense anxiety in my body, I have to see that for what it is immediately. I have to see that check engine light, and then understand that when I get that feeling, when I get that sensation, when I feel that emotion, to not respond immediately. And so what I do when I get that feeling that I've had a stimulus or a stressor applied to me, my first response is just a deep breath. Just a deep Inhale and exhale. Now let me tell you what that does. That does a couple of things. When you do that deep breath, it stimulates your vagus nerve because it stimulates it through your diaphragm, and that slows down your fight or flight response. See, physiologically, it slows down that system that makes us want to fight. And so when we take that deep breath, it buys us a little time because it takes a couple of seconds to breathe. And that's how we create the space. We acknowledge that that space can exist if we create it. So we create it by, number one, feeling the stressor and understanding that we've been hit with a stimulus, and then take that breath to create space. It's exactly like when I talked about Jesus kneeling down and drawing in the dirt. Create the space. And then, in those moments that you create for yourself, because no one can push your response. The Pharisees tried to push Jesus' response. He responded when he was ready. In that space that you create, the negative emotion that you feel, the anger, the fear, the anxiety, label it in your mind that that's what it is. In your mind, say, I feel the anger. I'm just going to let it go past me. I'm going to label it for what it is and let it go. And then I'm going to clear my mind so that I can see every possible perspective. I want to see everybody's possible view on this. Maybe what I saw in my first response was anger is really someone speaking truth to me, that I should take that truth and use it to make a difference in my life, to make a change in my life. Maybe it's not always an attack. Maybe it comes from a different place in their heart. But unless we create that space, unless we slow it down and tag those thoughts, those negative thoughts for what they are, and then just let them go, we can't see that other perspective. So here's my challenge. The next time you feel those emotions, fear, anger, like someone's attacking you, like a response is putting, a stimulus is putting stress on you, your first response, just a deep breath to slow your heart rate, trigger your diaphragm, trigger your vagus nerve, trigger that system to slow down, and use that time to try to see other perspectives. And don't respond until you see the perspectives and you understand what your response is and how it's going to affect you and how it's going to affect those around you. Every day there's opportunities. Unfortunately, every day there's stressors and stimuli. What will you do with them? Make the most of those opportunities. Moyo, everywhere we go.